Page 6 now, the race for the White House for the Republicans. Ground zero is Iowa, and the latest polling puts the governor of Iowa's neighbor to the north ahead. Public policy polling. Scott Walker is on top with 18%. Marco Rubio has 13%. Ben Carson, Mike Huckabee, 12%. Jeb Bush, 11%. Ted Cruz at 10%. Of course, it's way, way early. Still, both the declared and undeclared candidates are trying to separate themselves from the pack.
This is a Judeo-Christian nation. It is those values that allowed us to go from nowhere to the pinnacle of the world in record time.
It starts by rebuilding our military. No more sequesters of our military. No more making it harder for us to have the best fighting force in the world. We have to be vigilant to make sure that we live in a peaceful world, and the best way to do that is peace through strength.
I'm not going to wait until the next attempt is made on Americans, so I'd rather take the threat to them instead of wait till they take it to us. That's what we need in America, is strong leadership.
When I was the governor of the 13th largest economy in the world, we were a great example of what you can do. When you free people from overtaxation, overregulation, overlitigation, when you have the best educational programs in the world where there's a skilled workforce.
If we want to win, we have to be a bigger, better, bolder party. We need new people in our party. We need to defend the entire Bill of Rights.
Now, this talk of defending the Constitution is awesome. At the very least, it's distinguishing the Republicans from Hillary, and at most, it's crucial and educational. Now, also being bandied about, abolishing the IRS, and why not? After all, IRS horror stories abound. Joining me now, author, speaker, strategic consultant, and Daily Ledger contributor, T.J. O'Hara. T.J., a businessman out of North Carolina took on the IRS and won. So I guess this is a horror story, an IRS horror story that has a happy ending.
Well, it's a win for the good guys. The IRS over a year ago swept in and seized $107,000 out of this individual's bank account. And the reason they did it, there's a forfeiture provision in their policy that says if somebody is making small cash contributions to the bank under $10,000, they don't have to report it. So this is to try and curb things like terrorism and so forth. Unfortunately, this person owned a convenience store, and he made small deposits because that's what he received. So they fought this for over a year. They weren't going to give him any of the money back because they don't have to. They're the IRS. And their token gesture was to offer him half the money back. He refused that. The Institute for Justice took up the cause on a pro bono basis, brought PR to the table. They had him on network TV, they had him in the New York Times and so forth. And at first, the agency came back and said, you know, that's just going to upset us. We're going to dig in. But in fact, just last month, they allowed this to be dismissed without any real turmoil or anything like that. So the way I look at it, you know, in the old days, we had really colorful outlaws. We had Jesse James, we had Bonnie and Clyde, we had John Dillinger. Today, we just have the IRS.
Yes, they are a convenient bad guy. I think everybody hates them equally. The great equalizer, if you will. The United States military, the Pentagon, you know, these combat boots, we used to call them Army boots, but I guess that's not PC anymore, so they're combat boots. My daughter runs around in these combat boots once in a while. I don't think they look so fashionable, but she thinks they're cool. Apparently, some other people, females, don't think they're so cool.
Well, Congress is actually pushing the armed forces to come up with a specially designed combat boot for women. There are structural differences in women's physiology, and they need to be acknowledged. What they're finding is women who are trying to participate, particularly as they move towards combat roles, are suffering from more stress fractures, either of the feet or the hip and so forth. So they're trying to create a more narrow combat boot and adjust other equipment accordingly. The only problem with this isn't so much based on a war on women. It's really about women in war. So what they've done in some cases is downgraded the physical requirements. Now they're trying to introduce women into more infantry roles and commando roles. And if they don't maintain the standards, then what are you going to do? What if the enemy doesn't get the memo? So this is really somewhat of a critical issue. The only thing I would like to do is dispel the rumor. There was a rumor floating around that Christian Dior may actually be doing the new design of the combat boot for women. There's no truth to that, because under no circumstances will the current administration permit anything with the word Christian to be affiliated with our military.
So they'll have to go with Versace or something like that. A little bit of PC going on there, I think. Now, the PC police apparently have infiltrated the World Health Organization because they don't like the names of certain diseases?
Yeah, apparently it's well-settled science that if you apply politically correct names, the disease will go away. They've suggested that we shouldn't be using names such as Spanish flu or Middle East respiratory syndrome, because that can create aspersions for the people of those regions or those cultures, even though that's where the disease is emanated. Now, they've taken this to a new level in their best practices. What they're also suggesting that you shouldn't use animal names because it could offend the animals. So swine flu is out. It's no longer politically correct. Apparently in Egypt, a bunch of Egyptians went out and killed pigs because they thought swine flu was carried by swine themselves. So rather than concentrate on maybe an educational opportunity, they're looking for the political correctness. And the only thing I can tell you, Graham, I suspect that it will become politically correct, given that the World Health Organization goes by the acronym WHO, that El Pollo Loco will be changed to El Who Loco, and I'm pretty sure we know who's crazy.
So I guess bird flu has flown the coop officially.
Exactly.
Now back on Capitol Hill, in the United States Senate, no, it's not the struggling economy that's most important. No, it's not the Islamic State. It's not illegal immigration. To the minority leader in the Senate, the most important, dire, pressing issue to this person, who we all know and love, is the Washington Redskins.
Well, absolutely. You know, it's a racist term, and he used the Deflategate with the New England Patriots and Tom Brady to emphasize this. He called on the NFL commissioner for swift and decisive action that would eliminate the name of the Washington Redskins, because he considers this to be his highest priority. You know, you go back and you look at Harry Reid's career. He's been in the Senate for 28 years. Obviously, he's done a great job with the national debt. He's done a great job with the economy. He's normalized things for the middle class, or not.
Yeah.
You know, you look at this and you think, get your priorities right. The one thing I hope for Harry Reid, you know, he's recently announced his retirement. If I had a suggestion for him, I'd tell him, Harry, you know what you do? Do us all a favor. Don't announce your retirement. Retire, and retire today. And you know what you can do? You can start doing some sunglass ads, and maybe you'd actually generate some economic recovery for the United States much better than you've done in your 28 years.
You know, you look amazingly like him right now.
Thank you, Graham.
TJ, thanks.